Hi, my name is Tyler. This is Jimmy. We're from the Ski-Doo product team, and we're here today to present a couple of spring-exclusive models in the trail segment. We've got here the Renegade XRS and the MXZ XRS. Jimmy, I think we could start maybe by talking about the differences between the MXZ and the Renegade.
The main differences between the MXZ and the Renegade in trail segment is the track length. The MXZ comes with a 129-inch track, so it's a shorter track for more agility in very tight trail, tight cornering, but also more performance in the top speed. On the other end, on the Renegade, you have a 137 track length, which offers better performance in the bumps, more stability, but also better braking performance, acceleration. And at the end, someone that goes off trail time to time, you're going to have a little bit more of rotation compared to the MXZ.
So in addition to the differences between the track length between the MXZ and the Renegade, we have different motors. In the MXZ, we have two-stroke only, the 850 E-Tech as well as the 600R E-Tech. Whereas with the Renegade, we have both two-stroke options, the 600R and the 850 E-Tech, but we have also the 900 Ace and the 900 Ace Turbo in four-stroke options on select models, of course. The big news this year in the trail segment is the suspension. And we didn't just redo the rear suspension or the front suspension, we redesigned the entire package, the skis, the front suspension, as well as the rear suspension. Maybe you could talk a bit about the overall benefits of
Yeah, for sure. So the goal here was to have the best snowmobile suspension out there. So we wanted to have a balanced sled, so that's why we improved the front and the rear. At the front, we have the RazX suspension and the Pilot X, and then at the rear, we have the R-Motion X. With this new suspension, the new RazX, the new Pilot X, and the new R-Motion X, the three main benefits we were targeting since the very beginning were actually the cornering performance, more suspension travel, and even more comfort, all this together.
If we start with cornering performance, much of this has to do with the rear front arm. It's got a flatter angle, which allows the front end to stay much more planted in corners, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is thanks of this longer arm. It is 30 millimeters longer, but also it is attached higher on the rails by 10 millimeters.
And if we talk a little bit about comfort, we can talk a bit about the rear.
Yeah, so the rear arm will first deliver more suspension travel. So we have a longer rear arm. We also have a longer shocks that allow to deliver up to 1 inch of additional suspension travel.
In addition to that, we have the longest shock ever seen on a ski.
Exactly, so all this together allow to deliver, again, better cornering performance, more suspension travel by 1 inch, and all of this with more comfort.
On top of that, we also have 5 pounds of weight savings.
Exactly, and this is extremely important when we think about the dynamic and the performance of a suspension, the weight that is moving. Lighter it is, better it is.
Another cool feature would be the weight transfer adjuster, right? Which really allows riders to adjust the behavior of the front end to their style of riding, right?
Exactly. With this new suspension, we wanted to deliver, again, a more planted front end. But some riders do prefer to have a lighter front end to have better performance in the bumps. So then, now, we deliver even more adjustability to the rider because those guys will be able to do it in their garage. Maybe not on the trail, but very easy in the garage to change the geometry of the suspension, to change the behavior and the weight transfer of the front end. So this was about the new suspension, but this year we also have a great new gauge.
The new gauge is not only high definition color display, but the important thing is the interactivity. Obviously you're going to be able to connect by Bluetooth your smartphone with the gauge. Not only will you still see all the vital vehicle information on the screen, but you'll also be able to see the any apps that you might use on your smartphone.
We're really proud of it. This year's the new BRP Go apps that will be launched next fall.
Yes, yes. This is kind of the rock star of the new features that we're going to find on the gauge. The BRP Go, which will be available this fall, will allow not only navigation and turn-by-turn navigation on the sled, but you will also be able to track your friends, create itineraries from home using this application.
That's a great feature because when you ride, it's always fun to see where your friends are. So now you'll be able to see it right in your gauge.
Exactly. Be able to revisit itineraries you've done in the past plan future ones. It's really a unique and cool feature.
Also this year we have a couple new cool accessories.
I would start with the glove box extension, which is super practical for riders who maybe don't have the gauge. You'll have access to your smartphone, which you'll see it's in great position while you're riding. It's going to be heated, and of course you'll be able to use BRP Go in addition to your friends who maybe do have the gauge. So even if you don't have the gauge this year, I would recommend highly getting the glove box extension. That way you'll have access to your BRP Go.
I guess this is the great part of the fact that the BRP Go apps is an app on your phone, so you don't absolutely need the gauge. It's much better with the gauge, but you can still use it with the glove extension.
Absolutely.
So then the next accessory is what we call the E-Link. You know, we used to have in the past a safety cord, but also the electric cords for your electrical helmet or the oxygen helmet. So what we did this year with the E-Link is to have only one cord that will do both the safety and the electric parts, you know, of the connectivity.
Yep. As always, we have a huge selection of accessories that can be found on the website or by contacting your dealer. So now we're going to take some time to talk about the difference between the XRS package and the X package.
So now let's talk about the difference between an X package and an XRS. Here we have a Renegade XRS 900S Turbo, but let's start with the Renegade X 850 E-Tech.
For the X package, as far as shocks go, up front and at the center shock, we have KYB HPG Plus fully rebuildable shocks. In the rear, we have the KYB Pro 36 Easy Adjust.
Exactly, so it's possible to adjust the compression of the shocks, and here it comes with an adjustable kit available spring only, so you can adjust the compression of the shocks right here from the running board, but also the spring preload on the other running boards.
As far as track choices go for spring only models, we have three different options. We have a 1.25 ripsaw, as well as the 1.25 and 1.5 ice ripper, which comes studded directly from the factory.
During spring also, two choice of colors, so you have a black version and here the yellow version on the Renegade X. For the Renegade X package, we have the forward adjustable riser. So it is possible to adjust the riser either backward or forward, depending on your riding style. So now let's talk about the Renegade XRS and what are the main differences compared to the Renegade X.
Up front, we have the KYB Pro 36. In the center and rear shocks, we have the KYB Pro 40, and all are fully compression adjustable.
So the next feature, which is really important for a race-proven sled, is the running board. So the running board are wider, longer, but also flatter to be more adapted for standing up style of riding.
And if we talk about stand-up riding and different riding positions, we of course have the adjustable riser block as we do in the X package. On two-stroke models with the Renegade XRS, the steering post is at a more forward position to allow for a better weight distribution. After that, we should talk about the rack steering system, which is available only on the XRS package, and this allows for better precision in bumps especially.
And the next one is the ski. So the ski on the XRS compared to the X come with more aggressive carbides for even more precision and aggressivity in the bumps and on trail riding.
Exactly.
So Tyler, this is quite a complete review of the X and Renegade XRS package, right?
Absolutely. And it's a great review of the entire trail model segment. So at this point, we'd like to encourage you to visit the website, and especially the Build Your Own feature, which is a great tool for configuring the exact sled that you would like. We also have the Facebook community, which is a great way to chat with a product specialist during normal business hours. And of course, if you have any additional questions, contact your local dealer.